All right. Well, this sounds like fantastic news. What is the new suggestion for new parents? What is it that they should be doing with their kids?
Yeah. The best way, I think, to implement this into your own lives, I would say, is to first look at the choking hazard aspect of all of this, right? Which is probably obvious for most people. So it's the delivery form that you're choosing. So thinned peanut butter, from a safety perspective, seems to be the best way to introduce this. This can be mixed with a little bit of hot water, breast milk, formula, and stirred until the consistency is just right. And then they make like peanut powder that you can also use, and turns it basically into familiar puree. There's puffs. I think as they get a little bit older, the peanut puffs, which a lot of other countries are famous for using, these dissolvable puffs are pretty easy for them to use, since they dissolve readily with a little bit of water. The goal here, I think, as far as amount and frequency goes, is to just be consistent. You can think of just doing 2 grams of peanut protein 2 to 3 times a week, as opposed to measuring that out. You can just think of it as what would look like 2 teaspoons of peanut butter per serving. And so just these small little doses. I don't think you need to be real precise, but super interesting to have to kind of, put this in your general rapport of a developing child.
Yeah. It's really fun to see this kind of come full circle, that once upon a time we didn't think anything about it. Mm-hmm. And then we realized, this could be a problem. And we kind of freaked out a little bit. And now we're coming back around to go, maybe the freaking out was the problem.
Right. Yeah. And I think the key is, again, to look at the major drivers, eggs, milk, wheat, in addition to protein. Those are common allergies. So when we kind of talk about that immune system tolerance training or cross-regulation, where, whenever you've exposed the body to these food antigens that can have antigen properties, that then you almost train the body to respond to these things, to these foods, in a much more healthy way overall. So when you look at it, a child, exposing them to those big 4, eggs, milk, wheat, and peanuts, because again, we look at the skin exposure, they actually, what I pulled up here brought up beating the skin exposure. When you look at something even like wheat or eggs, even in a very young child, if you've not exposed them to those foods for a year, but you're cooking and they're around you making food, there's wheat flour and dust around, and eggs and things that they can come in contact with, and then their body believes that these are kind of unnatural antigens because they're exposed via the skin versus internally. So I think the key takeaway is, to those big 4 anyway, expose your child to them at an early age, taking kind of the overall safety concerns in that Dante mentioned. But I think that's the key takeaway, is to expose to all 4.